Hello, Nick. Welcome back to the Italian Crypto video. I hope you guys are doing well. Today we're back with another banger PulseChain video, giving you guys the latest and greatest of crypto news. Now, this one will be rather quick, but catching guys up to the latest and greatest. And I know I haven't uploaded a video in a minute. Life got a little bit busy, but I am hopefully getting back to that groove. I miss making videos for you guys and waking up today to crypto, seeing PDAI at over half a cent. And actually, matter of fact, it reached 0.005555. Crazy, right? And Richard Hart says, oh, I think numerology is stupid. Says the guy who has the world's largest cut diamond with 555.55 facets, and that's 55.5 carats. You know? So it's very exciting stuff. And the same thing with Atropa. Atropa right now is only a 55% away from back to its all-time high. And we're talking, guys, do you understand how euphoric it was back then for PulseChain in the November, December time of 2024? And the fact that we're not even anywhere near that in terms of like market sentiment and we're touching all-time high again clearly indicates that we have newer highs to reach. And by the looks of it, one Atropa is equal to 25 PDAI. That means, using Hart's law, if or when, right, when PDAI reaches $1, but of course, this is not financial advice. I cannot give you any guarantees of returns from this. This is crypto. Okay, we cannot speak in certainties. You have to have a probabilistic approach. Okay, but if slash when, because I believe when PDAI goes to $1, Atropa, as an effect, okay, with no required pump, like you don't need anyone to buy it, with as an effect, using Hart's law, it will reach $25, ladies and gentlemen. But of course, if you remember, Atropa did give a more conservative target, which was $7.5. And the reason being is because the ratio was at the $7.5. You can see that roughly around here and there. And of course, this is effectively what happened due to KT. I'll talk more about this in a separate specific PDAI video. Yeah, where she basically dumped all of that PDAI into the Atropa PDAI pool, and you can see down here, this used to be like 2.99 billion in the pooled PDAI, but now it's 5.94. So technically there's more, which of course gave new opportunities for people who are either late to the PulseChain wave or new to PDAI or are starting to believe again in PDAI to buy back at very cheap prices. Like I remember waking up one day and for a few hours, for a couple hours, PDAI was around $170 per million. And today, PDAI stands at $5,537 per million PDAI. So that is the price of the lottery ticket. It's very exciting stuff. Looking at other charts as well, looking at PWBTC, one of my favorite, and also one of Atropa's favorites. We're going to check that in a second. Currently at $692, guys, very close to that $700 mark. And in terms of reaching back to all-time high, we're literally just talking about a little 3x. I've covered this in the previous video. The weekly moving average convergence divergence, you can see the golden cross. As you guys can see here, a golden cross is when the blue line, or also known as the faster moving average, goes above the slower moving average. This kind of just indicates a momentum shift towards a bullish kind of signal. Yeah, this is really good in our case because if we look at the previous history, you can see that this has aligned well in the two previous waves. And I've mentioned in a tweet, which I'm going to show you guys in a second, how we're entering that third wave. So it's very interesting to see where we are at now as well. I also want to say a big shout out to the YouTube members who are choosing to support my small channel. Thank you very much. And also remember, they get access to my members exclusive videos, which part of it is a 5-part video series where I talk about the market psychology. It's kind of an advanced series talking about the macroeconomics that basically drive the altcoins. What actually makes a bull run a bull run, the pendulum swing, and more about the debt rollover cycle and what it really matters. And I even talk about my exit strategy for this cycle. And to the highlighted comments here from Gandalf saying, God bless you. Thank you very much. God bless us all. And from Tijo says, PulseChain tokens will explode. Sir, I agree. So without further ado, let's go back to the video. In terms of the other tweet that I referenced, it is this one. If you understand this PDAI chart, you will win. PDAI to 10 cents by August. PDAI is the only token on PulseChain that did a 10,000x. Then it did a minus 99% reversal, but we're already up 22x in 2 months with 242x to $1. It's probably way less now when it was 3,000 or actually even 5,000x a couple months ago. We were in the distribution phase where smart money absorbed the supply release. So honestly, guys, the people who are buying at these lows right here are the smart people. So the people that are buying down here is the smart money. It's the people that are absorbing when the market is releasing supply. And the reason why we're not seeing a pump during those times is, of course, the smart money represents actually a small minority. And here where I said, realize that this is how charts move. Motive phase followed by the corrective phase. We're in the third iteration of that pattern recognition. So that's exactly what I referred to as well with the MACD that we just saw. Yeah, as you guys can see here, we've done the first wave where, after the initial pump, we've done the correction, we've done the motive phase, and then now we've corrected again to the next motive phase. By the way, both of them, you can see here, it did a 40x in the first wave, a 26x in the second wave, and now we've corrected, basically minus 99%. We went down to zero, guys. This is why I indicated this as a reversal, not a correction, because there was a lot of FUD moments within PDAI. And I'm going to talk about this in another video about the different FUD waves that we've experienced, such as the Atropa FUD, Richer Heart FUD, you have even the KT FUD, the Hacker FUD, the minting bug, etc., right? And that almost came perfectly back to back, where you might say that this is bad luck. But let me tell you, this was actually very aligned with the kind of global macro factors. So this is really good, right? We want the bad news to come with the general bad news, because Ethereum at that time, guys, it was at max depression. Okay, the ETH BTC was at its low all the way back to 2019 bear market levels. Okay, and now we're starting to see the shift. Beautiful thing about PulseChain and kind of crypto in general, they're both aligned. Okay, clearly showing that PulseChain is indeed a leverage, an amplified effect of whatever Ethereum does, which is obviously an amplified effect of whatever Bitcoin does. And Bitcoin obviously is also an amplified effect of whatever the S&P 500 does. And just recently, we've broken all-time high on the S&P 500. Okay, but don't get me wrong, there's still a few fears. Like quantitative easing hasn't really started yet, and this is kind of what I wanted to talk about. But quickly, big shout out to crypto currently here. Says consolidation right below the all-time highs. Bitcoin is at $109,000 right now, very close. I do believe we can break all-time high in Bitcoin this month. Sentiments are still very fearful somehow. This is good because that means there's way more higher highs to reach, okay, before we expect the next correction. July tends to be a good month. Hard not to expect new highs very soon, right? And this is what I mean by the quantitative easing. It is inevitable, but it hasn't started yet. We're going to start with talking about this caption tweet from Watch Guru. It says, President Trump says Fed Chairman Jerome Powell should resign immediately. And then this is what I said. And guys, I'm going to tell you, this might be a little bit advanced and it's not really to do with PulseChain, but let me tell you, indirectly, there's a lot to PulseChain. Okay, these are the driving factors. This is the momentum makers. Okay, we don't want Richard Hart to stream until the global forces, the global macro forces are good. Okay, because if Richard Hart streams right now, that's diminishing returns. It won't do much. The same thing with the global marketing, with the we to talk about in a second. He is very smart. He said, first of all, it's going to happen in 1 to 2 months. He's aligning it very well. Okay, so let's talk more about this. Quantitative easing is inevitable. Here's why. Trueflation basically is at 2% target of, the Fed they put it as a 2% target. But at the same time, and I'm going to talk about this in a separate video, the producers price index and the core producers price index yearly and monthly reports were actually under expectations. Hiring have also slowed down while unemployment rate ticked slightly higher. In general, people fear of a weakening labor market. So this is where technically the Fed should come in and step in and do, start quantitative easing, officially stop quantitative tightening. And this is in general where usually governments and banks, they weaken their fiscal policies. And an example for this could be making crypto tax exempt. And I truly do believe, guys, that could be the ultimate white swan event. Okay, so this is where I say they will have to reduce interest rates. They're going to print more to add more money in circulation by buying government bonds to increase the money supply. Yes, the dollar index gets weaker, but this is a great thing for risk on assets such as Bitcoin, Ethereum, and PulseChain. A weaker dollar also means debts get worth less, which is good in general because, of course, America is in big trouble with that, guys. They're 36 trillion in debts, and I believe even in this year they have a 9 trillion worth of that's going to reach maturity. So yeah, they need to pay that back. And basically, another way of saying quantitative easing is debt monetization, and that's where you incentivize debtors, people to spend credit, which is again money they don't have, future money they owe, and it is what it is. Basically, that's part of the game, right? This has been the cycle again and again. It's never different. Stick to the plan, invest rather than trade. If you try and day trade, especially in the stock market, you'll get wrecked by insider traders, high frequency traders, and market manipulators who hunt for people's leveraged positions. So the lesson here is just don't leverage trade, okay, and be an investor rather than a trader. And this takes me to this second tweet here: never buy. That should be the rule. Then once in a blue moon, you just have to change your rules because it's such a fat pitch that one fat pitch makes you money for years or decades. In markets, everyone is so precise and focused on volatility and how they are doing this year. The speculative element of the market is key for liquidity and mistakes. Why doesn't anyone begin with the intention of making a fortune? Walmart, Microsoft, the best businesses in the world have been there, but only the insiders made a fortune because they didn't sell. But it was available to everyone. You could have waited 10 years to buy Walmart. There is no rush. The question is, do you know what you own? Or more importantly, are you willing to just check in every so often to see the direction of travel is correct? And this is 100%, guys. This aligns with everything that I've said, is that only invest what you believe in. Understand it fully. Come up with a thesis. Write stuff down why you are bullish. So that in those times where you're doubtful because you're looking at the price chart, and that's you looking at emotional analysis, okay, which it might feed into you. And remember, price, that's the whole lesson of this tweet here, is that price is not equal to value. Almost everyone, right? The whole market is filled with individuals that know the price of something, but they don't know anything about the value. So as long as you understand and believe in what you invest in, you won't have to check every so often to see if the direction of travel is correct. Okay? Just watch the grass grow rather than going to Vegas. Investing is about inaction, but the stock market makes you think it's a casino. If you're wise, you'll save so much on taxes it can cover the management fee. But this goes against our human nature. Actions is equal to results. That's what we were told. But investing is the opposite. And this is the picture that he attached. When to buy? Price is just the opinion of the crowd. Value is the quiet math of the business underneath. You can see here there's a graph, and this, by the way, was a quote from David Steinberg. And you can see here the stock price, and this is effectively the chart where the true value of that business is actually way higher, even though the price chart is saying otherwise. Now, in other bullish news, here's a tweet from Decentralized Me, kind of talking about the global marketing by sharing a clip here from a Wild SJ. So before we read the tweet, let's see what the clip is talking about.
I can tell you what the text is on the device.
Breaking
Ready?
news. Yes.
On the
Yo, shout out Richard Maximus.
device, it says free coins, pulsechain.com, reliable, hex.com, new coins, pump.tires.
And that is on the device.
I can tell you.
Very, very interesting. And this is what Decentralized Me had to say. Confirm that these devices being shipped will include free coins. And as I mentioned in the Telegram group chat, which by the way you guys should join, I said that you just never know if he's going to airdrop people the top PRC20s, which just so happened to be PDAI being the top of them. And here it says, why would you want to airdrop Hex, Pulse, or PulseX? It doesn't create much buy pressure and likely creates a large sell-off. A pegged PDAI is the only sensible option as it creates buy pressure on all the core coins advertised. This is a very good point, okay? We're going to talk about this in a second. Sell pressure is absorbed by arbitrage bots as it's a pegged asset. This is part of the Hyperloop so lots can be minted and distributed. His requirement for storage was 1 month, then for shipping to begin. PDAI needs to be pegged by then. First of all, I just want to say that this is a very bullish tweet, and that's a great example of why PDAI is the perfect candidate to be airdropped to people. It's already a stable coin, right? If they're going to use it, they're either going to dump it, which is going to be eaten up by arbitrage bots, or if they're going to use it to buy, right, the bullish hex, they're going to buy the bullish INC, even EHEX, etc. That's going to create buy pressure. But if we airdrop them already hex, when they already have it, what's left to do is just to sell it. But at the same time, I also wanted to say to people that I don't necessarily agree with how certain people, including decentralized me, where they're kind of raising the expectation of how soon the peg can happen. And obviously they're talking about this insta peg. So all of a sudden we're going to go from half a cent to $1. Yes, this can be true if they achieve the on-call function on CDAI, which I believe requires around 400,000 compound. And I want to talk more about this in a separate video because this is a very interesting theory that the 5996 wallet is related to the 877 dev wallet, which, if you guys remembered ages ago, I made a video on Linker where effectively his whole mission is linking CDAI to comp or fixing CDAI. Because if you guys didn't know, do not buy CDAI. Well, I'm not really giving you financial advice. You can do whatever you want, but just keep in mind that CDAI is vulnerable. You can kind of unlimitedly mint it. But the whole point with CDAI is that the planet, and I really urge everyone to watch Decentralized Me's latest video because he talks more in detail about this, where you can get the compound protocol to mint PDAI, because if you guys didn't know, the maker DAO owes a lot of PDAI to compound protocol. So once it does that and it mints the PDAI, it stores in the smart contract, it's not entered to the market circulation. So keep that in mind, it's not going to reduce the prices. And then after that, it gives you X amount of CDAI. And then from there, you can convert the CDAI to CETH, and then CETH is one-to-one with the wrapped ETH on PulseChain, which is the P wrapped ETH. And then from there, guess what? You buy back PDAI. It takes the price of PDAI higher, and then you restart back to step one. You mint more PDAI through Compound, stores it in the Compound smart contract, and then it gives you CDAI. You turn it to CETH, and then you turn that into P wrapped ETH. You buy back PDAI, increase the prices, and that's the cycle until it reaches $1. Now, we're going to talk more about this. There's a whole thread from 9iron, but I still urge people to watch the video from Decentralized Me. He's gone through that in a much larger detail. It's very exciting stuff, guys. How you have the Compound protocol, how you have the Spark protocol, and how you have the Aave protocol, and even other Aave forks like Better Bank that's coming soon to PDAI, and I really love this. This allows PDAI to actually act like a stablecoin, because a stablecoin is not just an asset that's pegged to $1. It has other functionalities and utilities that is required, such as lending. Okay, so you can lock up your PDAI so that you receive yield from that, or even borrowing, so people can actually create vaults. Kind of the same thing with the previous MakerDAO system, but hopefully we will see a MakerDAO replacement where now you can create vaults and back it up with crypto, with a certain a collateral ratio of, let's say, 150%, and then you received that locked up PDAI that was in the smart contract. The lenders gives it to the borrowers, right? And this is kind of the whole functionality of a stable coin. And for the final piece of the puzzle is getting the PRC20, ERC20, PulseX V1 farms active, such as the PDAI, EDAI. This will attract the Ethereum whales who are holding on so much DAI and generally other stablecoins, because I do expect that once PDAI goes to $1, PSDT follows suit, and especially PSTC, because that is almost programmatically one-to-one with PDAI. You can go check it out. It's just that it's been depegged, so I wouldn't be surprised if it goes back to one-to-one ratio between the two. And do remember, this goes back to the main mission of Pulsechain, which I mentioned in the previous video, which is to become the black hole of liquidity. We're going to suck all the liquidity from Ethereum. We're going to attract all the Ethereum whales to stay here in Pulsechain, to lock up their tokens, provide liquidity, finally make yield with their WBTC, with their DAI. And here's a tweet from Inverse. Doge says, "This is the only tweet the PDAI community needs. Satoshi vanished. His silence made Bitcoin unstoppable. Now PDAI walks the same path. Even its founder, Richard Hart, called it stupid. And that's why it's so Satoshi-esque. Revolution doesn't need approval." Wow, wow, wow. Thank you very much for tagging me. Thank you very much for this tweet. And here's finally but not least, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to end the video there because I need to keep it short. A big shout out to Sir Nathan. I urge everyone to go follow him as well. Here it says, someone using the same username as Richard Hart on Simplex is saying they are going to send the effing chain. I wonder if this is really Richard. And here's the screenshots. I'm going to send the effing chain. And then follows up by saying, Somi is right about the cycle, but we got capital. Interesting. And then here it says, I don't do TG, guys, so going to keep this quick. U4, you are not ready. Good luck, with a PWBTC logo. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to be the end of the video. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. Give this video a like, helps boost it in the YouTube algorithms. Comment down below, share this video with crypto bros, and of course, remember to join my Telegram link in the description. Also, check out my crypto operations security course. It's better to be safe than sorry, especially if you are holding above $1,000 in your crypto portfolio. Understand the different attack vectors in this DeFi and crypto space. Link to that in description. Use code PDAI. Get it for 100% for free. It's a 6-video course worth 1.5 hours, and it will teach you everything you need to know this cycle. So I just want to say a big shout out to the man above. Trust in the process, trust in God, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.